Hello. Regarding the question, has the church addressed the immigration issue as political or an area of human need? I can't say that I can fully speak um, to, I guess I could say, the organized or denominational world in that sense, in as much as I find myself in a non denominational context. So I can speak to my context specifically, and I will do that. But as a general rule, I think it really depends on where you are in the country and what affiliations that we may or may not have when it comes to the response that we're used to seeing and that we can speak to regarding immigration. I think obviously, just by geography, there's going to be different types of responses from different types of churches, simply because of that fact. For our context, we've treated it as a way to provide care and meet human needs. We've actually, through partnership with a local foundation, have purchased a piece of property that is a small community of mobile homes that is predominantly undocumented immigrants, and it's kind of a revolving door of undocumented immigrants. When someone moves out of that community, it's normally another undocumented immigrant that fills that spot. Clearly, it's not going to be all undocumented immigrants. It's just heavy on that population. I mean, we do live in South Central Texas, so this issue is very prevalent in our culture. But I think something that's important in my opinion, is that we do more than just meet the immediate need of whatever we think that may be. Giving somebody a hug and a blanket and being part of an organization that might help them have a place to stay or a way to get food in the meantime is one thing. But I think following through with the work of really what this is hospitality, Christian hospitality, following through on that work to its completion is what we would be charged to do. I know I continually bring up the story of the Good Samaritan, but that's really what happened. The Samaritan followed through and saw the entire work all the way through to full reconciliation. And I think that's what we have a charge to do. I mean, the talking in the blog spot and what's common to say is that when we point out the error of all lawless entry, then we enter into judgment. I don't think that's necessarily the case all the time. I think there are people definitely who are passing ungodly judgment on these individuals. But to say that someone is breaking the laws that is an undocumented or illegal immigrant is not judgment, it's just a fact in many cases. And I think what we should do is enter into the work of reconciliation and help find those pathways toward being in right standing, because really I think that brings a practical piece that a lot of people are missing. Regarding the second question, how might the church benefit from friendship with and partnership with immigrants? I think I understand what that question means, but I don't really like the idea of looking at it as something that we can get or something that we gain. I think that kind of short circuits the service and the genuine love that we are charged to exhibit toward the outsiders, as it were. Here in Texas, where I am, it's easier to not necessarily see these folks as outsiders because the Latin and specifically Mexican culture is very familiar to us, and it's an everyday part of our life. The racism and things that are assumed upon us because of the region that we lived in are just they're not real in practice as an earmark of our culture here. Certainly, there's goofballs that have racist ideas and act in racist ways. That's everywhere in the country. But it's not difficult to see these folks as part of our culture, as us. We are them, they are us. It's not difficult for us to make that jump. So I hope that answers the question well, but that's kind of where I'm at on it. Thanks.